Okay, Justin, we're live. I've just gone ahead and started the recording. Right before we get into all the questions and everything like that, do you want to just give a quick introduction to who you are, what your company is, what you guys do, anything you might want to share with the audience?
Yeah, George, thank you for having me on. But long story made short, my name's Justin Devries. Been in the lead generation game for a couple of years now. Done cold emails, cold calling, cold DMs, you name it. I've probably tried it. Right now, my full time thing, I run a company called Growth Giants, and we place elite Egyptian cold callers into other businesses. That's my full time thing, and I've been in lead academy for a little while here, and awesome so far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a great introduction. I know. You and I discussed potentially placing a dialer or cold caller, more accurately, into Bork. So that's something that we're going to discuss later
Yeah,
down the line. Do you want to just give like a little bit more information on why you're kind of doing that offer? Because I know you and I discussed it, and the economics of getting a dialer makes like a ton of sense. Like I know
right.
that we have one guy right now that we've trained. He's not as good as any of your guys, but he's still doing decent.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of explain the economics
hmm
there?
Yeah, man. Well, it's pretty simple. I've ran a cold email lead gen agency in the past. Super good business model, a lot of money to be made. I mean, I don't think you're where you're at because cold email doesn't work. Cold email is one of the most effective channels. The reason I'm doing cold calling as the actual vehicle of lead generation, because we're still in the same model, I'm just doing cold calling, you're doing cold email, is because one, it's my natural skill set. It's what I'm naturally good at. Like I'm a mid cold emailer, I'm a very good cold caller. And two, it's just like I want to always stand out and be different because it's just less competition overall and it's easier to scale if there's not nearly as much competition. Like there's very few people that are one placing elite Egyptian cold callers and then two actually
Hmm.
training them up specific for their clients' offers, which is what I do. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just curious, like, to what extent does your service go? Because obviously, hiring the person is one thing, but making sure they're hitting KPIs, having a CRM, having like an
Mhm.
organized way of doing these sorts of things. Like, I'm not really familiar with what do you guys do in terms of that?
Yeah, man. So it really just depends on the client. Some clients will come to us, George. They'll already have a customer success manager. They'll have a sales manager. They already have their CRM, their lead list. For those clients, our job is pretty simple. We cherry pick a cold caller specific for their business, train them up, via scripting, mock calls, objection handling, everything related to that specific offer, and then
Hmm.
place them into their business. But for other clients that maybe they have a broken CRM, maybe they're not that familiar with list building, we'll just charge a small monthly retainer and then upkeep the lists and the callers to ensure that they're not going to drop off in performance or anything like that. So it really just depends on our clients, where they're at, where they're trying to go.
Okay, all right, yeah, that sounds interesting. So you guys aren't just placing the dialer; you guys are going, helping with the list, helping with the CRM. It's like a full integration to just make
Correct.
cold calling, I guess, a part of the business. That's actually great to hear. I honestly don't know of a single person who does something similar like that. So I definitely see like what you mean by being unique. Because I know a lot of people who do cold email and a lot of
Yeah.
people who aren't very good at it, but not that many people who do this dialing. The only thing
Right.
that comes close to mind is probably Dylan Rich. I know Dylan Rich like
Yep.
helps place SDRs. So is your
Great
offer
guy.
kind of similar to his? Is that kind of like what
Yeah,
you're doing
it's
too?
it's similar. I'm not too sure if he primarily focuses in the Egyptian market. Like
Hmm.
every single caller I have is Egyptian with no accent and
Hmm.
previous cold calling experience. So that lets us get dialers, for pretty affordably. I think he has a similar offer, just focusing on, placing callers in the US, which is
Hmm.
also great. I'm not gonna shame Dylan Rich, he's a great guy. But yeah, maybe some similarities, but still different at the end of the day.
I got you. So why Egyptians?
Egyptians are some of the hardest working people on planet Earth, for one. And two, it's just the US dollar there is just so valuable
Hmm.
that you can get good talent and still pay them pretty affordably. So it's kind of a good mixture of both one, affordable, and then two, they're still hardworking.
Hmm.
South Africa is also a great place to place cold callers. I haven't dabbled into that market. And then Latin America in South America is great too. I might expand into that later on, but for
Mhm.
right now, it's just Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, our dialer, like personally, they're from Brazil, right? So like, it's a perfect time zone as well because they're only 1 hour ahead of Eastern. So,
Right.
they're waking up pretty much the same time we're waking up. They're in that time zone. I'm sure the people in Egypt, from what I assume, I guess they just live in like U.S. time. Is that correct? Like they kind of just like
Yeah.
adjust to it. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess they have no
Yeah.
problem with
It's
it,
pretty
right?
funny. Some of our callers literally adjust their whole sleep schedule just to get on a good cold calling offer. Like some of my
Hmm.
dialers will wake up at 5 p.m. their time, but in the US time, it's like 10 a.m. Eastern, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So yeah, they're pretty cooperative if you pay them well in their currency. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. I know. I mean, we have people like in Borks who are from the Philippines, but they deal with
Hmm.
clients. So I know that those guys literally change their full schedule. And I mean, I love hiring from the Philippines. They're also like really hardworking people.
Yeah.
Obviously for them it's a little bit difficult because like they are literally 12 hours ahead of Eastern, so
Right.
that's a little bit rough. But I guess it's like a good intermediary going somewhere in the middle, hiring people, there. So that makes perfect sense. Are you guys using dialers right now, like for your own offer?
Yeah. So I have one cold caller for myself. Honestly, it's a subtle flex, but I've been so busy signing clients from like inbound leads that I'm not even doing that much marketing as it is. But right now I'm in the process. I have one cold caller that's about to start just with
Hmm.
like closed CRM dialing leads that I want him to dial for my own offer. Um, yeah, it's a pretty lean ship. I don't have a huge marketing team. It's really just myself and about one other friend that actually trains these callers up. And like I said, I've been busy with clients to the point where I haven't had to do a crazy amount of outreach, at least recently.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. And I know, you and I have known each other for a while. I mean, I've seen you literally try out so many different business models. Like when we originally met, I remember you were ERC Justin, so you were running that ERC offer.
Yeah.
um, I guess, I mean, going through so many different models, and I mean, I've been there too. Like I used to be in crypto, so like I would test it out so many different things. The market's like changing every single day. So are you glad to be out of like those volatile business models and then like, placing commission setters now, or not setters, but cold callers, and
Yeah.
like just being in this much more safe business model now?
Yeah, man, 100%. I'm definitely not going to be leaving my current business model anytime soon. I love what I'm doing and I'm good at my job. At least that's what my clients tell me. But yeah, 100% to answer your question. I mean, I did ERC last year, set 120 B2B enterprise appointments with companies that were doing like hundreds of millions of dollars a year. But long story short, yeah, tried a whole lot of stuff. A lot of it was just like short term cash grabs where I was still doing lead generation, but I
Yeah.
didn't have a sustainable business, which is just not smart. So yeah,
Hmm.
I love what I'm doing right now, and I'm definitely not leaving it anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's definitely good to hear. I know you've been in Lead Academy for like pretty much all of it. What would you say is like, I guess, the best part there? Because I know you're pretty active in the community. I know I see you typing in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the utilities, all of the benefits that come with the membership. What would you say is like, I guess, your favorite part so far?
Favorite part is definitely just seeing Connor Houston with the Connor roll. I'm just kidding. The best part is probably just, if I'm being serious, it's really, really valuable to have a community where it's a bunch of elite people in cold email, just like sharing their strategies. Like if I didn't have this, I don't do a crazy amount of cold email. I still do a bit, but if I didn't have Lead Academy, you don't know where to go with cold email because, like you were saying before, it's always changing, and the strategies are literally updating like daily. And if you don't have a
Mhm.
place to go to where people that actually run lead gen agencies tell you what to do, like you're just gonna fall behind so quick. So that's probably the most valuable part of it is just like being able to go in there, read the chats, talk to people that make a lot of money with cold email, and see what they're doing.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, Connor Houston, also known as medium-sized Scottish guy. He's obviously, he's in there, he's active, big part of the community. But that's definitely a big part of Lead Academy, which is just like staying up to date with everything that's going
Yeah.
on, right? Like I know, the founder of Smart Lead is in there. Like I don't want to do too much name dropping, but like there's a bunch of code email guys in
Hmm.
there. And every single time like shit hits the fan, like I'm always going there as well. I mean, I own a lead gen agency, just like everybody else. So it's like,
Right.
it's not like I just have a magical source of information that just comes to my
Hmm.
brain, like I also use Lead Academy myself because, when shit goes down, like information, like you need to have a good source of information. And when a
Hmm.
lot of it is in there, it's a lot easier to communicate, share things that and overall makes it really easy. I don't know if you remember, not too long ago when there was like this whole crisis with like out of office, like during Easter, I think it was, or something, or whatever holiday it was. And people started like freaking out that Smart Lead is broken, everything is broken, like we're moving to instantly. And like it turned out that there was no issue whatsoever. And it was just
Right.
a US holiday. And I remember all these people freaking out, literally changing their business, moving all their platforms. Like it was crazy. And I remember seeing on Twitter like these guys who just like switched to instantly. All of their SOPs don't work anymore. All of their automations don't work anymore. And in the end of the day, there was no issue. And I remember people in Lead Academy like literally joking around about that because like these people are freaking out just because they don't have a
Right.
reliable source of information where, these platforms exist. You just have to kind of get yourself into them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, man.
So,
Well, the opposing route to not being like just a good group in general that has good cold emailers in it or lead generation guys, like whatever you want to learn is important. Because the parallel is just like, okay, you're going to get your information from Twitter where it's all like these gurus that are trying to sell you their SaaS or their shit. It's like, you're going to trust that guy, or would you rather trust people that are actually in the industry themselves? That's the way I see it.
yeah, of course. And one of the big things about Lead Academy, and I don't want to just like make this whole video a Lead Academy commercial, but one of the big things about it is that, we still actually run an agency. Like
Right.
we're actively running a lead generation agency, whereas a lot of the other coaching programs, they used to run agencies. Right. And I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm sure like the model of info, and like the model of info is like infinitely superior to the model of, B2B services. But in the end of the day, no matter what is and isn't superior, if you're not running a lead generation agency, I really don't know how you're going to have a reliable source of information because you're just not doing it anymore. Right now, again, I'm not going to say any specific names, but there's big coaching programs out there where their founders or their people who are in charge of the coaching program don't even run lead generation agencies, let
Right.
alone any agencies. And they're teaching people how to do it when they're not doing it themselves. So,
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've seen this too. Like, there's a really bad rep associated with like being a course creator nowadays. Like, I feel like ever since we started Lead Academy, even on Twitter, like people just do not like us anymore, or don't
Right.
like us as much. Because I guess you start selling a program, you're immediately classified as a course creator, and then you're
Hmm.
thrown into that bunch with people who sell information and then they don't even do what it is they're selling. Right.
Right.
I feel like that's pretty ridiculous. I feel like any person who is selling a course on something that is so frequently changing, like cold email, should probably actively do cold email, right? Like you'd be surprised how many people are out here selling information about a subject and they're not even using the information they're selling. And I'm sure, I'm sure you see your fair share of this as well. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
hiring a dialer is not like rocket science. Like, there's tons of people who promote hiring a dialer, and then when you ask them, like, okay, well, how's your dialer doing? They're not even employing a dialer. They're doing like Facebook ads or something completely unrelated. Have you seen people do that too?
Not too much, man. I mean, it's not a huge industry of like placing good cold callers, but obviously there's people in the game that market themselves, oversell and then underdeliver. So I think my whole thing is I would rather just like under promise and then over deliver, and then that way I get people coming from referrals and I get third party sources, and that's why I have so many like inbound leads. Is because my current clients, I would rather just like absolutely crush it for them and like have them a little bit skeptical to start because it sounds too good to be true, and then like 2 weeks in, they're like, "Holy shit, I should have bought another one." So yeah, that's my whole thing. Just like over promising and under delivering is terrible, and you should always just be. If you're not getting good referrals and good like inbound leads, then you're probably not that good at your job. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's even what we say on a lot of sales calls. Like when prospects tell us that all of their lead flow comes from inbound channels, like we'll always say like that's a good sign. Like that means you have product market fit. That means what it is you're selling is actually valuable. It's just a matter of
Yep.
going and just promoting it more, showing it to more people. Whichever way you decide to do it, whether it's cold email or cold calling or whatever it is, It's just getting your offer in front of more people. So, I mean, I've
Correct.
seen that too, very, very frequently. That's another one of the big things that we're trying to get, I guess, into Lead Academy, which is like the idea of product market fit, because a lot of marketers don't truly understand what product market fit is, right? Like they have a brief understanding, but they don't really like understand what it's like to sell something when it has product market fit. Because when something has
Hmm.
product market fit, selling it is like so easy, right? Like if like
Correct.
even back to like the crypto thing when I was telling you about earlier, like when I used to sell like crypto tools, that was like one of my first business models that I ever did. Like I didn't have a website, I didn't have a VSL, I didn't have case studies, I didn't have any of these like assets, but
Hmm.
people would just throw money at me because it was just such a novel thing, and like I was one of the only people selling them. This product sold well to this audience, and that's like one of the only times I think I've ever experienced what it's like to sell a product with product market fit, which
Hmm.
is just like people want it at this price, working this way, and they're willing to pay for it. So
100%. And that's the way no, you're spot on, because that's the way I see cold calling and cold email. They're really just a way to get your offer in front of people in the market. But if you don't have something that is like super attractive, they will not help your business in any way, shape, or form. And that's why you see so many people, they're like, "Oh, George, I'm sure you've seen this. Oh, George, cold email doesn't work. We've tried that." Or, "Oh, cold calling, we tried that before. It didn't work." It's like, if you don't have a good offer, right? It's like it doesn't matter what you do, you
of
know?
course. Yeah, there's a whole so we're redoing a lot of the videos in Lead Academy right now, but there's a whole video in the program talking about how good outreach won't fix a bad offer. So like all we're doing here is just making more people enter the funnel, right? But if
Right.
whatever is at the end of the funnel isn't very good, then it's not going to matter how much outreach you do. It's not going to matter how good your scripts are, how good your landing pages are. It's just not going to matter, right?
Hmm.
And what's really interesting is there's a lot of videos online, which is actually very surprising, from these really big venture capitalist firms, right? Like Y Combinator, like these really big firms that give out a lot of money, and they literally like show and like publicly tell people what they look for in a company, right? And if you think about it, if these are the criteria that a VC firm is looking for before investing millions of dollars into a company, then if you as a lead generation agency look for those same criteria before starting to work with a prospect, you're obviously going to know how to attract the type of companies which are going to be good clients. Like if a
Hmm.
VC firm wants them, you definitely want them, right?
100%.
And one of the big things that goes into that is actually selling something that has product market fit, selling something that people actually want, right? Selling
Right.
a service which actually solves a big problem, right? Like I
Hmm.
can't explain to you how many times I've heard offers that are so ridiculous, like they're just not ever gonna work. Like it doesn't matter who you are, like they're just not gonna work. Like this one guy the other day, he was telling me that his offer, in essence, is he helps automate e-commerce businesses in like 4 weeks or something, right? Like
Hmm.
7 to 8 figures e-commerce businesses. And I was like, I just told him, I'm like, do you really think that you're going to come up to some founder who makes millions of dollars per year and you're going to tell him, hi, my name is, I'm not going to say what his name is, but hi, my name is John, for example. I'm here to just completely automate your business in 4 weeks. It's going to cost you $5,000 and that's it. Like you're just done for. Like I'm just gonna automate your company and we're good. Like we're gonna do this with
Hmm.
VAs. This random guy from the Philippines. We're gonna pay him $400 a month, and he's just gonna do the work that you've been doing to generate millions of dollars all these years. Like no one's ever gonna believe that, right? Like his offer doesn't work, and he thinks that cold email doesn't work, but in reality, his business doesn't work. That's the real issue.
Correct.
Which
Correct.
I feel like that's one of the things that people need to look into, which is like going deeper down the funnel, which is like, is it really my outreach not working, or is it just that I have a terrible offer? Is it that I'm
Right.
selling something that nobody wants, right?
Hmm.
And I'm sure you've seen this too, right? Like no matter how good the dialer is, you put him on a bad offer, he's going to be a bad dialer. Like in the end of the day,
Correct.
like that's all that's going to happen. So
Correct.
you know, but I guess
That,
that's
that
just
is
like,
probably one of the hardest things, and because we're both in the same industry, George, of lead generation. I just have a different mechanism to fulfill it, a different vehicle, if you want to call it. You're doing cold email and doing cold calling. But probably the biggest nuance of lead generation is just signing clients or working with people. And it's like, okay, they pay you this money and you're really good at your job, which I know you are, George. I know I am too. But if someone has a shitty offer, it's like you can be exceptional at your job, and still not get results. So it's like, as a lead generation agency, you can be crushing it, booking them so many calls, but it's like, okay, what if their sales process is messed up? What if their offer has some errors in it? And that's
Of
why it's
course.
really important in lead generation to like work with companies that already have product market fit, that already have case studies. Because you can sign clients left, right, and center, but it's like, do you even care if you're not getting them good results? You know what I mean?
Hmm. Of course, yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, obviously, you want to retain clients. Like, you don't want to be on a constant downhill battle of like, can I sell
Mm-hmm.
more than I'm losing? Like, you always want to have a positive sales velocity, like regardless of churn. And
Right.
if you're not delivering, then you're just not going to make money. And I know that even though we're in the same market, like our business models are a little bit different, right? Like I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of deals on pay per call. So for me, the big model that competes with pay per call is pay per show. So it's like charging people for every call that shows up. And I feel like that's such a flawed model. It's not as flawed as pay per acquisition. That's like completely horrible. But like all these businesses who don't have like a proper funnel built out and a proper sales process built out, a proper pre-frame built out, trying to offer them something like pay per show or pay per acquisition is just such a terrible idea, right?
Correct.
And like I have like a whole video on it online talking about why you shouldn't do that. Like pay per call, it's not a perfect model either, right? Pay per call is also flawed. I wish that wasn't a thing, but in the end of the day, that's just what kind of like people are accustomed to. And unless you have like an insane amount of case studies, an insane amount of social proof, going straight to retainers always going to be a problem. Like people aren't just going to hand over thousands of dollars, when they don't know who you are. So, that's obviously like a big part of lead gen, right? Like making sure you're working with the right clients. I feel like that's like what you learn when you actually like get into the model, which is like 90% of getting results is not even in your control. It's in the client's
Right.
control, right? If your client just happens to have like an insane service and an insane case studies and an insane market which is untapped, like you could just send emails off Gmail. You could literally sit on your computer and manually send Gmails and you'll still get them killer results, right? Whereas there's
Right.
other industries where that's just not going to happen. And same thing with dialing, right? Like I'm sure you have some offers that are killing it and then other clients that aren't killing it as much, and it's like, what's the difference between these two people?
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, we had a caller we placed last week, and yeah, the first day she booked 7 calls for that offer. It was a
Wow.
pretty tough offer to crack. I won't name drop it here, just because. But yeah, I mean, I wish every client I could just get 7 calls for off rip. But the averages we're getting is like anywhere from 3 to 5, and then some days are 6 or 7. I'm sure you have the same thing where some companies, they come to you and they're like, all right, George, I want to send cold emails. And it's like the first day of sending, you're already getting exceptional results. And on other people, it's like, okay, I have to really try and focus on my systems and my scripts to get
Mhm.
any type of results. Do you feel like that's kind of the case with you too?
100%. And I think that's actually not just the case between you or me. I think that's just the general case of like just doing cold email, right? Like I know
Mm-hmm.
like Nick Abraham, obviously, really big player in cold email. I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing a YouTube video where he talked about that he only has really 10% of his agency's clients are actually good clients. Like they
Right.
actually have a good offer. Everybody else, not to say that you can't get results for them, but they're just not as good, right?
Right.
And I found that to be really interesting because if the top players, are still having this like I guess consensus of like most people are just not going to have a good offer. That's not just like a you or me type of thing. That's just like a general
True.
just general thing. Like most businesses are just not that good. That's literally all it comes down to. Like most businesses are just not that good. Only
Mm-hmm.
10% are really going to have like that really good product market fit offer where they're going to have tons of good, tons of results, not enough competition, and like I guess it's just how doing cold email is or doing any outreach is.
Right. No, 100%, man. 100%.
But yeah, I guess the main thing that you want to do as an agency owner is just find a reliable way to find those types of people, and then that's just going to be, I guess, the key to scaling. Just finding more product market fit companies. I guess that's like the best way to describe the best way to scrape or the best way to scale an agency.
Mm-hmm.
So,
100%. I agree.
but yeah, Justin, I mean, I know we're a little bit over our interview time here, so we can just start wrapping it up. If there's anything you want to mention, maybe tell people how they can get a caller with you. This would be the time, and we can just start wrapping this up.
Yeah, if you go on my Twitter, I'm Justin Devries. Just shoot me a DM. We can have a conversation about it, or just go to my website, growthgiants.org. But yeah, I won't give you any sales pitch, any big sales pitch, I promise. But yeah, if you need a good trained Egyptian cold caller that also has minimal accent and is affordable, shoot me a message. But other than that, George, your Discord and your private group is awesome. I honestly don't have anything bad to say about it. It's very good. Like I said, very important to just keep up to date with lead generation and talk to fellow lead generation agencies, or you're just going to fall behind. So yeah, I'm thankful for your group, and it's been awesome for me so far.
Okay. All right, Justin. Thank you for the kind words, and we'll talk after.
Peace out.